big sound in a small town, far away from the big city lights, making music every night. Good music with all our friends. Tell everybody, tell your mama and them, we're going out and we're getting down. A big sound in a small town. A big sound in a small town. A big sound in a small town. A big sound in a small town.
Hi, welcome to Season 4 of Big Sound Small Town. I'm your host, Sandy Carlton. Join me as musicians tell their stories about how they became musicians and the stories along the way.
everybody. This is Tommy Smith, guitar player for Dirty Grass Soul, hanging out up here at the Earl Scruggs Center in downtown Shelby with my buddy Sandy Carlton.
Hey, Tommy, it's good to have you here, buddy.
Kind of sound like there for a minute I was going to host this thing.
It did. You're welcome to host. You know, sometimes I need a co-host.
Well, I'm the man. I like
hear
to
you.
talk.
Yeah, I'm finding that out, you know. So, and the bad thing is, I do too. I mean, I wouldn't have a podcast if I didn't like to talk.
That's it. Yeah.
So
Yeah, we've already been up here cutting rug for like 2 hours.
oh, we have. Oh, yeah. We've told y'all missed the good stuff. You're going to get the stuff now that yeah, it's going to be a whole different deal now.
We're toning it down now.
Yeah, we toning it down. So I don't know where we're going to start this. Where you want to start this at?
Dude, I don't know what you want. What do you want to know?
You ever always been a guitar player?
No. Well, yeah. I mean, that's the only instrument I've ever played, or let me say, it's the only instrument I've ever attempted to play. I was actually had a neighbor across the street in junior high school that me and him wanted to play guitar. We got this big crazy, thought in our head we were going to have a band, and he actually got a guitar, and we started, messing with that thing, and we didn't know what we were doing, but we started messing with it. I was like 12 at the time, and he went off to Florida to spend the summer with his daddy, and he ended up getting killed in a car wreck.
No, that's terrible.
Yeah, it was a really bad, time. And then, like a few weeks after that, I had an accident, got hit by a truck riding a bicycle that same summer. Like, these two things happened within a couple weeks. And so I couldn't walk for about a year and a half, and didn't know if I'd ever walk again. And so my mama and my daddy had been separated and divorced for a couple years, and my mama actually took her wedding rings and traded them for me a guitar.
Wow.
And I'd have something to do because I couldn't walk. I couldn't get up and move around. And that was in 1986. She got me that guitar. It was an Area Pro 2 Strat copy.
Yeah.
And my uncle had took pinstriping like you do on a car.
Yeah.
And made like the Eddie Van Halen stuff all
Sure,
over.
yeah.
And I sat around and beat on that thing for years.
Did you have an amp?
The crazy thing is my mama got me that guitar, and the next year she bought me a 1978 Marshall 100-watt master volume head, okay?
Yeah.
And she said, son, I don't have the money to buy a cabinet for it. You need to go talk to your daddy about getting you the cabinet for it. So I went to my daddy and I said, Daddy, Mama got me this amp. I got a guitar. I need a cabinet. And my daddy, being the old super conservative, hardcore, rough and tough Vietnam guy, he said, I ain't wasting no money on that. That ain't nothing but a fad. I ain't doing that. So he wouldn't get me one. So the next year, I blowed up every speaker in every stereo or everything I could find for the whole next year. And my mama bought me the next Christmas a Marshall, like a 1969 Marshall 810 cabinet. And I terrorized the entire neighborhood for years with that thing, man. I mean, I'm telling you what, I'd raise the windows in my house, and all my buddies would come over, and we'd crank that thing up and play Metallica and AC/DC and Led Zeppelin and, just terrorize the neighborhood. But yeah, my mama, she's actually in the hospital right now in Charlotte. She just had another major surgery. But she has been probably my biggest fan my whole entire life. I probably wouldn't be doing anything like what I'm doing now if it hadn't been for her.
I think as a musician, parental support is pretty big.
Yeah.
You got, if your parents aren't really too much about you playing, you're going to have a struggle to do it all your life,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So that's.
And my daddy, God rest his soul, he passed away in January 2018. And he was, just a rough and tough old biker, hardcore redneck guy, from hell, excuse my French. But I know my daddy loved me and he was proud of me and all that, but, he had a funny way of showing it.
Yeah, I understand that.
And but my mama has always been the rock, for all of us. Still to this day, our whole entire family. She's the one that always kind of picks you up and pats you on the butt and said, keep going, you know. And so that's pretty awesome.
Well, then, so you got this guitar, and you're playing and all, but so at some point, did you say, I got to let people hear this other than in the house? I mean, did you put together a band, or how'd that happen?
Yeah, well, I started, you know, playing like in junior high school, like I said, and just got to where I could pick up, you know, a little Led Zeppelin riff or Metallica riff, and you know, and then you get like buddies that come over and they go, man, Tommy can play some Metallica,
Right?
Or he can play some Led Zeppelin. So that little crowd just kind of starts to grow a little bit.
Yeah.
Of people hanging around wanting to hear
Right.
you play and all. And then there was some guys from Lincoln, Ricky Tackett and Kendall Davis, and a couple of those guys had a band in Lincoln. They put an ad in the paper. They needed a rhythm guitar player / singer. So I thought I had gotten pretty good, you know, enough to where I could play some things, and I was
Right.
ready to, you know, go to another level playing
Sure.
a band. So I answered this ad and called them up, and I went to downtown Lincoln to their practice building and did an audition. And I said, "What you want me to do?" They said, "Well, play us and sing us something." Well, you know, I was kind of like, I knew I couldn't sing. So anyhow, I played and sang Freebird.
Oh, okay.
And after it was all over with, they all had their girlfriends and stuff in there in the band room and all. And they said, "Well, we're going to go outside and talk a little bit, and we'll come back in and tell you what we think." I said, "All right, cool." So I'm sitting in there like twiddling my thumbs. I hear them outside. They're talking and laughing and cutting up and all. A little bit later here, they all come back in, and they all sit down real serious. And Kendall Davis, I don't know if you know him or not, he's a phenomenal drummer. Kendall says, "Well, we got some good news and we got some bad news, Tommy." And I said, "Well, what's the good news?" And he said, "Well, the good news is you're in the band." I was like, "Sweet."
Yeah.
Okay, well, what's the bad news? He said, "You don't get a microphone."
I mean,
To this day, they won't let me sing.
obviously, you play well enough to where you don't have to sing.
Well, you know, I'm one of those guys that I love to play, but I picked up a guitar because, you know, I didn't have anything else to do. And then I realized that chicks dug guitar
Yeah, they
players.
do.
And
They
so
do.
it was like that whole thing. So I never like learned how to read music. I don't know much about music theory. You know, sometimes I play guitar like I'm falling down a flight of steps, you know. And I mean, Jimmy Page is my probably biggest hero.
It's not a bad one to have, you know? Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where I've always wanted and to play with people in bands where I felt like I was the weakest link.
Oh, well, you should always do
Because
that.
then
Yeah.
I've got something to strive for.
You do.
know? And with these guys, Dirty Grass Soul, I mean, everybody in the band is, you know, just incredible guys and musicians, and they push me all the time. I mean, it's like I'm constantly, you know, trying to up my game a little bit here and there because they'll do something, you know. I mean, you just see Lance play and you're just like, gosh,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And Chris, you know, just
Yeah.
killing that banjo, and
Right.
Glenn with all that pedal steel stuff he does was just phenomenal. Jared, you know, the absolute king of the train beat. I
Sure.
mean, nobody
Oh,
can
yeah.
beat that. And of
Yeah.
course, Kevin, you know, anything Kevin picks up,
Sure.
the fiddle, the acoustic guitar, electric guitar, he plays the crap out of the harmonica, and just a great bunch of guys. I have been extremely blessed with the opportunity to play with them, really, to be honest with you.
But you had to get yourself somewhere there before you got to play with them.
Yeah.
But take that story along from.
I started, you know, playing with it was called a band called First Defense back in the day with Kendall and Ricky Tackett and Ronnie Urie and Brian Urie and Darren Gates. This was like, you know, late 80s, early 90s. It was like hair metal stuff. You know, we played all around on the Charlotte scene with, you know, all these other bands. Some of them, you know, Firehouse,
Sure.
a lot of those guys. And, of course, then grunge came along and kind of wiped all that out. So we kind of, you know, moved over into that new phase or whatever, and started writing stuff and put a band together called Pocket Size Grandma. We released a CD back in the 90s and did that whole thing, the whole Pearl Jam, you know, Nirvana, all of that. And then that kind of progressed into the new metal phase of Limp Bizkit and
Right.
Korn and all that stuff of the late 90s and early 2000s. And I played in a band called Grudge. We released a 4-song EP and toured all over the place then. And then we started a band called the King Biscuit Trio, some buddies of mine, me and Chris Phillips and Eric Bider. We did that for probably 15 years, King Biscuit Trio up around the Hickory area, and we played mostly covers of Zeppelin and all this kind of stuff for years, and got a pretty good following, and did that for a long time. And then probably about 2009 or 2010, somewhere along in that area, Benton Blunt had a record deal, put out his record, and done all that kind of stuff, and then the record company folded, and a bunch of stuff happened with that. He ended up moving back to the Carolinas and put together a band of musicians locally and started doing some shows. And Okie Parsons, phenomenal drummer, got Eric Bider, our bass player, to go play with them for a little while, and then they needed another guitar player, so they called me, and I went and played with them for a little bit, and then Okie left, and we brought in Chris Phillips. King Biscuit Trio basically became Benton Blunt's band.
Okay, got you.
And I did that all the way up until about 5 years ago, and we did a show at the Clear Mountain Music Festival.
Yeah.
And that was the first time that I saw Dirty Grass Soul.
Okay.
And when I saw those guys, they had Stuart McConnell filling in on guitar for them that particular night.
Yeah.
And I saw that band, and I was like just completely blown away. I was like, holy cow, these dudes are...
And that's totally different than what you were doing, really. Kind of totally different.
The funny thing is that I've always been a rock and roll guy. I've always been a pentatonic scale, southern rock kind of guitar player. A little rough around the edges. I'm not real pretty about playing or anything like that. Just a rough and tough old southern guitar kind of guy. And so when I first started playing with Benton, I didn't have a clue about country music at all. My grandpa played on the Grand Ole Opry and traveled and toured and done all that stuff back in the 40s and 50s and all, but I never really got into that. Bluegrass and all that stuff was very intimidating to me because those are some of the finest pickers on the planet.
I agree.
And I am not that scale of guy. So I stuck with my rock and roll. When I started playing with Benton, I started talking to some of the musicians, and I said, I don't know nothing about no country music.
Right.
I'm a pentatonic scale kind of guy.
Yeah.
And one day, one of the other guitar players said, well, son, you know how to play a pentatonic scale? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, you're used to playing a minor pentatonic scale. And I said, yeah. And he said, move that down 3 frets, and now you're playing a major pentatonic scale. So do all the same licks and everything you were doing in that minor scale. Now you're just doing it in the major scale, and there you got your country music. And something just as simple as that just completely changed my whole outlook on all of that. And I was like, holy cow, this is insane. So still to this day, I primarily a pentatonic scale guy, and I've tried to learn a little bit more of mixing the minors and the pentatonic, and your major third and your minor thirds and all that kind of stuff, and doing all that kind of deal. But with Dirty Grass Soul, we cover so much ground that I get to do a little bit of about everything.
Sure you do. I mean, y'all do a lot.
Yeah, so I'm not like a one, genre kind of guy. I get to dabble around in about everything. So I'm not like super good at any one particular thing.
Good at
I'm pretty decent
at all of them. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to be said for that. I mean, that's kind of how you get to be good. Is you can do a lot of everything.
Yeah. And so it's a lot of fun. I mean, that's the whole thing with Dirty Grass Soul is, I'm a big Gibson guy. I'm a Gibson Les Paul guy. I love my Gibson.
Yeah, I've seen you with them.
I love my old blackface Fender amps, old Marshalls and stuff like that. And and I've always carried a Les Paul and a Tele with me, but I primarily love my Les Pauls more than anything. So, and of course, you can get a Tele to pretty much do about anything you want.
You can. I agree. Most versatile guitar in the world.
Yeah, and so it's tough sometimes, dialing in tones and getting sounds to cover, every genre there is.
Well,
you know what I mean?
your tones are good. So, I mean, sometimes people can play really well, but their tones lack something. I mean, there's a lot of players that play really well, but their tone stinks.
Well, I've always been a 2-amp guy, and I've got a whole collection of mid-60s blackface Fender amps that just, to me, sound better than anything.
They do.
Playing,
I'm not going to argue that with you much.
So now we've, Dirty Grass Soul, we've all moved to in-ear monitors.
Right.
We don't have any amps on stage.
Yeah.
Kevin's using like a Helix Stomp, and Glenn's using a Quilter, and Jared's direct, and Chris is running direct, and I'm running a Kemper. I've got a Kemper Stage profiler, and so profiled a bunch of those blackface Fender amps and stuff, and trying to dial that in. And that's kind of a cool thing with the Kemper, is that I can hit one little button, and now I'm playing a 67 Pro Reverb.
Right.
Well, I can hit another button, and now I'm playing a 78 Marshall Master Volume Marshall, or whatever else in between there. I can kind of get anything that I want, and for the most part, nobody in the crowd ever knows the difference, because those profiles are actually from that particular amp. So
right.
that's pretty cool. It's kind of hard to get used to with the whole in-ear thing.
I was getting ready to ask you. That was where my next question was going.
Man.
No amp on stage. So what do you get running? Just personally, what do you get running to your in-ears?
So I have the whole band in my ears, and so everything's run direct, and then Jared's got a X-Air 32 that we run everything into, and then we're using Sennheiser G4 wireless in-ear packs and all. I just recently got a set of Ultimate Ears UE Pro 7s that I had custom made for me, and all that. And we all have an app on our phone that I can run my in-ear monitor mix from my phone. Actually, I got me a little iPad mini now that I run it from. So I can mix my own ears,
So you can mix your own ears. You're not. That's pretty cool. I mean, see, that's one of my things about who's going to mix my ear and how long is it going to take. And I know how bands are. It starts out one way and doesn't always end that way.
Yeah.
I mean.
And this is cool because everything's consistent now. We have an in-ear monitor rack. We when we roll up at a venue or whatever, which now we're self-contained. We've got lights, we've got PA, we've got everything on the trailer that we need, so we can do the whole deal ourselves. Or if we roll up somewhere that's got a house PA, like tonight at Greenville, Harley-Davidson in Greenville, we'll be doing that. We'll wheel in our monitor rack on the stage, and they'll plug into that. And for the front of the house, and then our in-ear mix will be exactly the same as it was last week or a month ago or whatever. Now I might do a little tweaking for drum mics or whatever. If it's an inside venue or outside venue, I might tweak a few things. But I think the biggest thing to deal with the in-ear monitors is having ambient mics on the front of the stage. We put out 2 ambient mics on the front of the stage, and so I can put my ears in, and it literally sounds like I'm just in the room. I can hear the crowd, I can hear everything going around us, but I can hear each individual instrument no matter which way I turn my head, or if I walk over here or walk over there. Everything stays consistent.
No, that's good.
And
yeah,
I keep, like Glenn is I got him panned over to my left because that's where he is typically on stage. I got everybody panned as to where they
it's
are.
where they are on stage, so that keeps it in perspective too.
I guess it right.
Yeah, it feels right. Yeah.
And I don't feel so much like I'm in a box.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing with the in-ears is sometimes you just feel closed off to everybody.
Well, kind of you are, because the interaction is not quite the same as it used to be.
Yep.
That is one of the trade-offs. The magic of 2 people standing there doing that with your amps and all, it is a little bit different.
Yeah. And, typically back in the day, if you were running a wireless and I was going to run across the stage and jam with Lance in the middle of a song or something, well, now I can't hear my amp because I'm over across the stage.
Right, exactly, yeah.
So now if I do that,
you can hear it. You can hear the whole thing, yeah. And, which is the trade-off you used to have with that. Yeah, you go over there and you can't hear your amp.
And our stage, there's no stage volume.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So the front of the house guy is like, shoot, I love this.
I'm sure he does.
Mix now,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. As opposed to like in the day, it used to be, everybody's turning up as the night goes along because you can't hear.
Yeah.
I mean.
And by the end of the night, the front of house guy is just shaking his head like there ain't nothing else I can
That's.
do.
I mean. So how'd you guys figure it out? Somebody show you this? I mean, sound man figure this out?
The in-ear thing.
Yeah.
Well, we just finally got to a point to where our stage volume was just ridiculous.
Yeah, y'all loud band, no doubt.
Kevin, he's singing, he's playing fiddle, he's playing acoustic guitar, he's playing electric guitar, and he was relying on the monitors to hear all of that.
Right.
And so, Kevin would consistently I got to turn this up, I got to turn this up, I got to turn this up, and every time he turned his stuff up, that stuff was
sure.
like, we got to turn ours up too. So it just finally got to a point where we're like, we got to make some changes. And so we had talked about doing in-ears for a while, and during the COVID whole shutdown, we kind of took that opportunity to revamp, our whole stage volume issue, and we bit the dirt, and everybody pulled out their Sweetwater credit card.
Right. Yeah.
We bought what we needed to buy.
Had to get the candy. Had to get the candy coming.
No interest. You know what I mean?
Yep. Have to get the candy coming with your Sweetwater.
Yeah, exactly. And so we did that, and it's taken us some time to adjust to it, but it is definitely better on our ears. It's better, for the crowd up front. It's better for the front of house guy. And I think everything's a lot more crisp and can be heard a whole lot better.
Yeah, because you guys are a loud band. You're, and that's a good thing. I mean, what you guys play, you need to play it loud.
Yeah, we do. There's so much energy, in a lot of stuff that we do. That
there is.
And it goes from it's very dynamic. Some songs we do that's like way down here, and then some of the stuff is blasting wide open. And of course, we go from Hank Williams Sr. to Charlie Daniels Band to of course a bunch of our own originals.
Yeah,
Home is on the Highway and Cowboy. Those two songs alone are two totally
different. Yeah, they are.
There,
yeah. Well, you guys just had the big double CD drop too.
Yes, we did. We sold out the Don Gibson Theater right here in downtown Shelby back in February. It was actually the 10th anniversary of Dirty Grass Soul being a band, and Kevin and Lance, did that, and it's just grown over the years. And so we sold out the Don Gibson Theater. It was a phenomenal night. We had Aaron Meyer, and
I know Aaron, great guy.
Aaron's awesome, and all those guys came out. We recorded the show and did the double CD, and that just came out a few weeks ago. There are plans of doing a double vinyl album.
I heard that
later in the year, and possibly a DVD, because we've got a lot of that on film too.
Right.
And we did that, and so it's pretty cool. And things look really good. I mean, in 2019, we played on a cruise, the country cruise, with Ronnie Millsaps and a bunch of big artists, and I think there was about 32 bands on the boat, and so we did that. We got a pretty good bit of momentum off of that, and then we did we hooked up with Brian Cruz of Cruiser Entertainment out of Nashville. Brian got us on a Southeast Festival Association's showcase in Muscle Shoals, Alabama. We went and did that. Within minutes of coming off the stage from that, Brian was getting messages left and right, people wanting to book us for festivals and stuff like that all across Southeast. That was in February of 2020. At the end of February, and bam, March of 2020 hit and wiped out every single thing we had on the books.
Exactly.
And just killed the momentum that we had going. And so we took all that time. We did some live things and revamped our sound with the in-ears, and we really worked on some stuff, wrote some new songs, and did some of that, and then slowly have been building it back, but momentum has been really good lately. We're playing this Saturday. We're playing with Hank Williams Jr.
Ah, that's great.
Sammy Kershaw, Cadillac 3, several other artists at Heritage Park Amphitheater in Simpsonville, South Carolina. So we got some pretty cool stuff like that coming up, and we're playing a lot. We've kind of upped our game on, the venues that we're playing and things like that.
You're even traveling farther, aren't you?
We've been to Kansas City and just a lot of cool things. We're doing Josh, Moonshiner Josh, Josh Owen.
Yeah, I do,
his birthday party coming up, Outlaw Revival, and a bunch of cool stuff like that. So the momentum is there. The crowds are getting bigger. The shows are more and more people are coming. We did the Mighty Moo Festival this past week. We did Taylorsville, North Carolina this past week. The crowds are huge. People are really coming out to see us, and we're very blessed.
Plus, you guys are about to be the king of Suck Bang Blow.
We love Suck Bang Blow.
I mean,
we really do love going down there to play. That's a rowdy.
Yeah, that's a rowdy
time.
Right yes,
there.
It is. Yes, it is.
Fun, yeah.
Are you guys booking this stuff yourself now, or you got somebody?
I
didn't know what happened after after that. If y'all have gone after the COVID, I didn't know if y'all.
Yeah. Well, Brian from Cruiser Entertainment, we worked with him for quite a while, and Brian's a good guy and does really good work and all of that. But we had built a pretty good following in the Southeast, especially on our own over the past. I've been in the band 5 years, and so Kevin, has done a lot of the booking for the band, most of the booking,
right?
And
pardon me.
And so we've kind of taken it back, primarily into our own hands, with Kevin doing most of that. And but we still do work with Brian some. And good friends with him and all of that, and but we're pretty self-contained.
That's good. I mean, that's good.
I mean, we're kind of that blue collar mentality kind of thing. Like we're not big on moving to Nashville and doing that whole thing or jumping into that game. I don't know that we're not really big on we want to take over the world and sell out arenas or anything like that. We're just a bunch of country boys.
You just wanting to make a living playing music.
We love to play with each other.
Yeah.
Of course we bicker and have little quarrels within the band.
That's a band.
And but we're family. We're all family.
Yeah.
We love each other. We love each other's families. And we look after one another and that kind of thing. And we're pretty successful at doing it the way we're doing it now. And my daddy always said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I think that we're doing pretty good with where we are right now and pretty much handling everything ourselves at the moment. Now, of course there may come a day where we need something else, and we'll take a look at it when we
right.
get there,
Yeah, exactly. Cross that bridge when it gets there. I mean,
but we've got merchandise is great. We sell a ton of merch.
Well, merch is the lifeblood these days, pretty much. I mean,
merchandise has covered videos and recordings, and merchandise has done a lot for us and our fan base. We don't really say we have fans. We have family.
Right.
These people come. They work hard for their money just like everybody else does, and they spend their time and effort and money to come see us play. And buy merchandise and support us, and we are extremely grateful for everybody that does that. But they're not fans; they're family.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's a good way.
We have met some of the best people on the planet that that come to our house, at cookouts and birthday parties and that kind of thing. These people have literally become family to us.
That's great. I mean, that's something that's pretty hard to establish anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Yeah.
And these days it's hard to get a pretty loyal, even build a real big loyal fan base, because it's just a hard thing to do. So y'all are pretty lucky that way.
We're very lucky. We're extremely fortunate. Back in the day, everybody was out for a record deal.
Yeah.
That was the thing. You always are fighting and scraping and scrounging to get a record deal. And you have bands like Blackberry Smoke and Tyler Childers and Cody Jinks, and a lot of bands like that, Steel Woods, and a lot of that type of stuff, where they went out and just beat the roads to death, and built up their own thing, and did a lot of that on their own, without big money backing them up and doing all that. And so that is possible, and with the internet and all that nowadays, with social media and all the different ways bands.
Yeah.
We're not going out and stapling posters on telephone poles anymore.
Right. Oh yeah. Oh, I live that life. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Me too. And,
oh yeah.
So now, you can post something online and spread that all over the world. And,
yeah, you can.
So that's helped a whole lot as well. And we try to have a really good social media presence, and individually and as a band.
You guys are pretty personable too. That helps. I mean, pretty much top to bottom, you guys are easy to talk with, and that helps too. I mean, I think, and I don't want this to sound the wrong way, but the common hardworking people can relate to you guys.
Well, that's what we are.
I don't mean that in any way but the best of ways, you know?
I mean, we're still, regular old guys. Glenn works, and Jared has a printing business with his wife and family. Kevin and Chris are farm boys through and through, and you probably go within a couple miles of where we're sitting right now, and Chris is plowing or cutting hay or getting hay up somewhere, and Kevin is helping him or building a fence or
somewhere,
doing something with the cows. Lance is probably right over the road here working on a car interior, which is what he does. And me and Jenny, my wife, we have a reupholstery shop in our backyard in Lincolnton, and so we all still work, and do that whole blue collar thing. We're all still regular, normal folk.
Sure. Well, I think there's a lot of that these days that you used to did not have. I mean, I think there used to be no middle ground. You either 100% had to be the star or a failing star or whatever. And then I know so many fine, talented musicians and bands now still work day jobs.
Yeah.
It's possible these days. In the old days, there was no common ground there.
Yeah.
You either had to be all in or all out.
Yeah. Well, and it's just like with me personally. I mean, I've played music for since the '80s, and I made money doing it for a long time, and I've set my life up nowadays. At one time I was a substance abuse counselor, did the whole 9-to-5 thing, and went to school, went to Gardner-Webb, got my degree and certified substance abuse counselor and all that. But I've worked over the years to set my life up, and I think everybody in the band has, to where this is not a hobby for us. This is a way of life for us. This is what we, want to do full time, if at possible at some point down the road. But we all still have our other things that we do too. But we've set our lives up to where if we need to hit the road and go to Texas, or
you
if we
can
need
go.
to hit the road and go to Kansas City or wherever it is, we've set our lives up to where we can do that, because this is who we are.
And that's a job isn't always who you are. It can be, but it's not always. Right. Sometimes it's just a means to an end. And so many of the road bands I've known over the years, people out there playing, well, if they're not touring, they have to come home and work a job or another music job with someone else. I mean, people don't see that part, They don't realize that even people that you think are pretty successful doing it are out hustling somewhere when they're not. When you don't see them on stage, they got some other way of making income, because that income, if you're not playing, you're not making music. So so
well, and even the big Nashville cats, and I know quite a few of those guys that are in Nashville now. That are going out on the road with big bands and doing that kind of thing, and when they're off the road with the big bands, they're down on Broadway.
They are.
They're in some club or
they are.
Bar or something somewhere. They're still playing during the week and making money.
I mean, you have to, because it stops if you're not playing.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's you supplement it one way or the other.
Yeah.
I mean, so.
Yep, got to keep moving.
If you can find a way to make it where it's flexible and you can do the thing you love, then that's pretty much a good thing.
And this is one of those industries that you, if you've got the opportunity to make some money, to go play and make some money, you better take every opportunity
I agree.
you get, because we're not getting any younger.
Nope.
And times and things change so much in the business.
They do. They do. I mean, one day, if so many people I've known that's been in the business, and then all of a sudden, music takes just a little bit of a change, and you're pretty well stuck. What you were doing won't work anymore. You're not getting the bookings that you were getting.
Yep.
And by the same token, we've all that's listening to this have lived through COVID.
Yep.
I mean, something can shut down, as we just found out,
Yep.
like that, and end everything you got going on for a while.
Mercy.
I mean,
That was rough.
no, it's rough it was rough for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean,
And we knew that in our own lives, the toll it took on our own incomes,
Yeah.
families, and all of that, and the momentum we had with the
Sure.
band and all that. But the big thing for us is that we also recognize what it did to our family,
yeah,
friends,
Sure.
fans, family.
Oh, yeah.
How it affected them, and people are really starting to come out now, and
but they've been slow coming back. Have you
have,
noticed that it has been slow?
yeah,
I think we're on the right road. I mean, I think it's coming back, but it's been slow coming back.
yeah, and it's cool. This spring, and especially and up to now, we're playing some of the biggest crowds that we've played for anywhere.
That's great.
At any time. I mean, so it's really coming back, and that's awesome. It's good to see people getting out and enjoying.
Well,
themselves.
and it is kind of after that. It is fun to see people finally getting back to normal life and having fun again.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes, music helps you get over all that time too.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, music helps you get over about anything in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a big deal right there. Music definitely touches the soul and stirs up emotions and
It does.
things like that nothing else does. And
It's been in every culture
yeah,
since the beginning of time, and the importance of it, I think sometimes people just do not really realize that
yeah.
if you took it away, everyone would realize it quickly. But
I think that's probably one of the biggest appeals to Dirty Grass Soul is that Kevin writes all the lyrics and stuff, and I mean he'll write a song at home on the acoustic guitar, and he pretty much lays it out, and then he'll bring that to us, and then we kind of shape it and mold the
Sure.
music into as close to what he's got in his head
Right.
as we can get.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah, I do.
But Kevin is a storyteller,
He is.
and that is, I think, one of the biggest things that appeals to people is that the stories that he tells in the songs are about real life, are about day-to-day real things. And if you go and listen to the lyrics
They
or
are.
pick out what he's saying in there, just about everybody can relate to one way or another something in their own personal lives about the struggles and the good times and
Sure.
the bad and all of that stuff in those stories that he's telling. So it's about real life, and people can relate to it, and that goes a long way.
Plus, I will tell you, Kevin Dedman is one of the best frontmen working today.
Yeah.
I guess that kicks back to his time as doing a lot of theater stuff and all when he was in high school.
Yep.
But I see, and I'm around a lot of music. He is one of the best frontmen I know. He knows how to get a crowd involved.
Yep.
He knows how to basically work a crowd into a frenzy.
Yep.
Then you throw a fiddle in there, and you can drive an audience crazy.
Yeah. I mean, you take some Black Sabbath and and throw pedal steel
Yeah.
and fiddle and banjo and
Yeah.
all that in there, and it's people are just blown away. They're like, my God, where did these guys come from?
Yeah. Yeah.
And but every individual in the band has his own thing, contribution that makes
Sure.
up Dirty Grass Soul as a whole.
do.
And Lance with that, barefooted, playing on that
Yep.
rug all the time, and just his whole antics of dancing around.
Yeah, I mean, Lance has his own thing, which
He
is it's visual and entertaining in
It is,
itself.
yeah.
You know?
And he plays bass like nobody's business.
Yeah.
I mean, he does his own thing, and he doesn't sound like anybody.
No.
He doesn't look like anybody.
No.
He's his own deal. And everybody's like that. You got Chris with that cowboy
Straight
hat
up cowboy.
and those little shoulder jerks he
Yeah.
does while he's picking that banjo, and Kevin just bouncing all over the place, wide open. And then Glenn with all that classic pedal steel stuff that he works into this rock and roll, and then on the pretty stuff, he's just as awesome as it can possibly be. And of course with Jared is just blows me away night after night after night with the way he plays drums and singing too.
Plus, okay, this is audio, and you don't really get to see it other than the pictures I'll post up and all. But Tommy's a bit of that too. I mean, he's got his own guitar style, which if you would, he's playing rock and roll basically with this band, which you would think, how does that fit? But it really does. And of course, Tommy has his own visual going on. If you know Tommy, you realize what we're talking about. But it's his is as visual as Lance's, and they're like the two ends of the stage.
Well,
And I mean that in a good way.
well, I
You
appreciate
realize that.
I do. Yeah, I wouldn't be a good criminal because
No, you would
I
not.
couldn't hide anywhere because people are like, yeah, it's that dude with the stripe in his beard,
Yep.
And but yeah, I mean, it's just I feel like I can be me. I can do whatever it is I want to do, and that's what everybody in the band does, and that's what makes Dirty Grass Soul. We're not trying to be anything in particular,
Right.
other than me, and just trying to put something in there that fits with what everybody else is doing, and trying to feel good ourselves. If I love what I'm doing, and I'm getting into it, and I'm digging this, and everybody else in the band is digging it, and everybody's into it, and you're creating that kind of energy and that emotion with each other, it is hard for the crowd not
True,
to get involved
true.
in that.
I
They
agree.
get sucked right in.
They do. I mean,
that
the crowd does play off of that.
Yeah.
I mean, crowds even know when a band's having an off night. Things aren't good. You can read that in a crowd.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah. And we have some nights that where we're just slap wore out,
Sure.
from being on the road
Yeah.
or what's going on. And that's the cool thing is that everybody still goes out there and tries to do their absolute best. And I think on our bad nights, for us, it's still good.
Well, yeah, and I understand that. I reached a point in my life where I played a ton of music, and sometimes the act of going to play is not something I'm crazy about doing.
Yeah.
But it's different once you step up there and start playing. I mean, you
yeah.
can wipe away most of the bad stuff that you got going on when you step up there to play.
You know it.
And then the minute you're through, you might think, damn, I hate to pack this stuff up and go home, but that little time that you're there is a magic that, well, you'd have to be there to understand it, I guess.
Man, a couple weeks ago we went to Tampa, down to Clearwater, Florida, and played at OCC Roadhouse Friday night. And we left on a Thursday about midnight, drove all night, got down there at 10, 11 o'clock that morning, got loaded in, set up sound check, did that whole thing, kind of chilled out for a little while, played the show that night. As soon as we got done, we jumped back in. We had a bus that night or that weekend, and we came on home, We had another show in Shelby that Saturday night. We didn't even go home. We came straight back, went straight to that other show, set up. We had to set up PA, the whole 9 yards.
Right.
Done all that. We were absolutely wore out. I mean, just beat up. Comes time for us to play. We're all kind of, excuse my French, but we're dragging ass.
Yeah.
And we go out there, and Kevin turns around and looks at Jared and says, give me 5 hits. We're going into home. Jared, bam, 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 round, round, round,
Right.
We bust into Home is on the Highway.
Yeah.
And Chris is like, diggity,
got that.
and it's like as soon as we go, oh, yeah, and we bust into it. It's like immediately every bit of that tiredness just went away. We were looking around at each other and we're like, yeah,
This is what
it's
we do.
all
Yeah, that's
about,
what we do. Yep.
And that's everything.
That's a magic. Yeah, it is.
That's the magic. You're right.
It
That's
is.
the magic.
And
You don't get that magic playing with everybody that you play with. Every
No,
band,
you
you
don't.
don't get that magic.
No, you don't.
Some people play their whole lives and never get that magic.
True,
So
they do. They do.
we recognize that. We acknowledge that, and everybody in the band is extremely grateful to be able to experience the blessings that we have been given. And I can speak for everybody when I say that everybody has a really strong faith in this band. We're all believe in God and pray on a regular basis, and everybody's pretty well set in their faith, and that means a lot too. I think for me it does.
That's right. Yeah.
But we're very blessed.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You
With
are.
what we've got, what we've been given, and what we're able to go out and do on a regular basis, and so we're extremely grateful for that.
That's great.
Yep.
Tommy, what else we need to know, bro?
What you want to know, man? What you want to know?
Well,
What-
what I have gathered is you'd rather be doing this than anything that you know of.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to quit.
Oh, I've tried to quit.
It's been years ago, but I got out of it for about, I guess, 6 months or so one time. I mean, I still played.
Right.
But I wasn't touring around or doing anything. This was before I was with Dirty Grass Soul, of course. Because, by gosh, I hit the ground running in Dirty Grass Soul.
Yeah, you did.
Which
yeah.
I kind of forced my way into Dirty Grass Soul, to be honest with you. But I tried to quit one time about 6 months, and my wife just point blank told me, said, you better go back on the road playing with the band, or I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, well, it's a lifestyle that once you have that lifestyle, a different lifestyle is strange,
Yeah, absolutely.
And I can't say this because when I say this, people say I'm saying stuff but musicians are more fun to be around than normal people. I hate to say that.
Yeah.
But once you've been a musician and you're around other people, that's the people you relate to. I mean, musicians are funny, they're creative, they're a lot of fun.
We're a train wreck.
Yeah,
most
too.
of the time. You think about, like most musicians that I know are, there's something wrong with them.
Well,
That's what my grandpa said, like me and you was talking earlier.
Yeah.
My grandpa said, he played on the Grand Ole Opry and did all that back in the 40s and 50s. And my grandpa told me one time, he said, the guy that rolls up in the Cadillac and his pants are, creased just right, and he's got his rhinestone jacket on and his cowboy hat's all neat and perfect, and his new strings on his guitar and all that. Everything's all neat and polished, and he's on time and all that. He said that guy usually ain't going to be worth a darn.
Yeah.
He's like the guy you got to go cross town and drag him out from some bridge, where he's been on a 3-day drunk or doing this or doing that. That usually is going to be one of the best guys you ever had in your life. And, that is true. It's like musicians being the creative ones like that, we're late, we're messy.
got quirks, got a ton of quirks.
Yeah, it does.
Sometimes, I've even told people, certain musicians I know are quirky, and then I realize, oh crap, they're all quirky. Maybe this one's a little quirkier than the others, but to say that they're like normal everyday people would be doing them an injustice, really.
Yeah, it's kind of a stab at normal people.
It is, and
Don't
you
call
know,
me a musician.
yeah, exactly, and you know, in a lot of ways, I've tried to explain this to people, and you know, there's been plenty of times in my life to where I wish I was a more normal person.
Yeah,
You know,
me too. You know,
it would fit in. It would be easier to fit in. It would be easier to just live your life out.
yeah.
I think.
I am one of those people that I don't know when to stop piling things on my plate. You know,
Too much work
in life.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I'm a member of Lincoln Lodge 137. You know, Freemasons Lodge. I'm the secretary at the lodge. I'm a member of the Easter Star with my wife. I'm a member of Knights of Solomon. You know, the Motorcycle Lodge. Member of our York Rite. I'm a board member at 321 North Volunteer Fire Department in Lincolnton. I own a shop, you know, reupholstery shop. I play in Dirty Grass Soul. I have a side project called the Bastard
Cats,
Robbie
yeah.
Buff and Chris Wallen and Eric Taylor. And we have 8 grandchildren between me and Jenny. And, you know, I mean, it's just
Yeah.
like there's always something. And I have a hard time in my life turning my brain off and just, you know what I mean?
I do.
Like, it's like my mind is constantly thinking about, you know, I can be sitting at you know, 321 Volunteer Fire Department. I'm up there for a board meeting, and in my mind, I'm thinking about a riff that I'm playing in a certain song, and I need to try to do it like this instead of doing it like that, or, you know what I mean? It's like my brain is constantly clicking, and it's hard to kind of shut that down sometimes.
Yeah, I do understand that. It really, and I find that too. My life is a little less complicated these days than it used to be, but it's been so complicated and full of too many activities at the same time.
Yeah.
To where sometimes when I have time, I don't exactly really know what to do with it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had times where it's like, and you know, it's because I don't have much of it. When I wind up with a little bit of it, it's like, oh, what am I going to do? You know.
My wife, you know, God bless her. She is my everything. I, you know, adore her. And she is one of those people that is always early, and she is neat and like well put together, and everything has its place. The house is always spotless. Everything is organized and all of that. And I just completely drive her crazy with my, you know, disheveledness, if that's even a word. And she has done a great job at corralling my disheveledness. But there are times where she's like, let's go get in the pool. Let's just go get in the pool. Let's just relax. You know, let's just chill out and relax this afternoon, not do anything. I'm like, okay, cool. You know, so, and I try.
Oh yeah, you do it for a little bit.
Yeah. And my mind just will not shut off, you know. Yeah. And she's like, you just don't know how to chill. Like, you just cannot sit down and chill out. Well, no, I can't.
Well, with me being a songwriter almost ever since I could write, or a writer of one type or another, sometimes in the middle of the night, I can't sleep. If I get words in my mind, then I'm wrecked till I do them. You know, if I get an idea, then I'm wasting your time, you're wasting mine. If I got that on my mind, I may as well go do it. Doesn't matter what time of day, what time of night. If I don't, it'll drive me crazy until I do it. Yeah. You know? Yeah. So, I mean, it's just one of those things.
I've got a little room in the back of my house where, and I do most of the work on my own guitars and, you know, changing pickups and setting them up and, you know, all this kind of stuff. And I'm constantly thinking about, I need to go do this with this guitar, and I need to do that with this guitar, and I need to work on this riff, and I need to learn this song, and I need to, you know, do this and I need to work on this profile and my temper, or I need to, you know, something all the time. It's like you just cannot turn that off.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to do. It really is.
But finding some kind of balance, you know, I guess in life with that. I do struggle with that a lot. That's probably one of my biggest.
Of course, that's not the worst thing you could have
No.
in the world.
You're right.
I mean,
Yeah, again, I'm blessed. I acknowledge that. I know I'm blessed, but it still sometimes is a battle within myself to.
That's what I tell people about being a musician. Everybody thinks it's such a blessing. It's kind of a curse as much as it is a blessing,
It is.
I mean,
Yeah. It is.
So in your mind when you're young, I'm 70 now. You think when you get to be 70, you'd be done with this stuff? It ain't happened.
No, you can't turn it off.
It's like,
It's you. It's who,
I'm-
it is.
I'm-
It's who you are.
old man shouldn't be doing this stuff. But you know what? I'm still here doing it.
Listen,
That's a blessing, though, I guess.
my grandpa, like I said, played on Louisiana Hayride and played Renfro Valley and Grand Ole Opry and did all that in late 40s and early 50s. And then he got out of music, started a family, and raised his family and did a good job of that. And he was a good guy and all that. But I do believe that up until the day he died, that music was still in him, part of him. And I think in the back of his mind, there was still that what if kind of thing that he carried around with him. Now, would he have went back and changed it? No, I think he did what he thought was the right thing to do, and I believe he would have stuck with that.
Right.
But still, that was always in him.
Sure.
Still always a part of him.
Yeah, I think it is. I don't think you ever get rid of it. You might put it to rest. I mean, I've retired from the music business a number of times and tried my best to just move on and have a normal life, and it really has never really worked.
What is normal?
Yeah, well.
It's a setting on the washing machine.
Well, sometimes I wish I had that.
Well, you're right, but that's about as best as I can describe what normal is. It's just a setting on a washing machine. Other than that, I don't really know what normal is.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's a like you said, a blessing and a curse.
It is.
I can't imagine what life would be like without music. I can't imagine what it would be like to not have 40 guitars and an extreme obsession and compulsion with guitars and amps and music and gigs and this and that and all that.
I mean, we could sit and talk all day just about pedals.
Oh my goodness.
So I mean that's
Yeah, it's one of those things. You just like the whole tone thing. It's like you're never.
Oh God, we could go about that.
Yeah, you're never satisfied. You're always trying to reach something, whatever it is, the next thing.
True.
The next thing, next thing, always. And
And
but that's a whole lot better than sitting around doing nothing.
I used to worry whether I could get. It's like, is that tone really the tone I still want to have? I mean, or is it dated? I mean, I don't know. It's so you could do that forever.
Yeah, but the older I get, and I think I think a lot about this recently in my life. I lost my daddy in 2018, and then I lost my little brother this past August. And watching, like my mom and my father-in-law, and saw what my daddy went through in life with cancer and Agent Orange, all that, and getting old ain't for sissies. That's
no, God, Lord.
But I think about my daddy, struggled all his life, and but he was probably one of the strongest, and my mama for sure, the strongest people that I ever knew. And I don't think there's anything in this world that could be thrown at my mama that she couldn't handle.
Right.
My daddy, I thought the same way. Like they're almost bigger than life. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And to move into a phase in life where you see those, huge people in your life, strongest people that there are, age start to take its toll, health issues start to take its toll.
Oh,
And you start to move into the phase of life where you become the caregivers and caretakers of some of those people, and you start to do things for them, and you see, the problems that they're having and all that, it's an eye-opening place to be in life.
Oh, it
that's
is.
going to be me
Sure it is.
one day, and though that day's probably not that far away. So I think a lot about that nowadays, and I think to myself, whatever there is in this life that I have left, that's out there for the taking, you better get out there and do it.
I agree.
You better get out there and keep moving, putting one foot in front of the other, keep striving to do better, and try to do everything that we can do to better our own lives and our families' lives and be a part of our communities and do all that. Because,
Sure.
The world's not becoming a better place
No, it's
by no
not.
means. Things are getting worse and worse by the day. And but I think, it's up to us individually to do our part,
To try to make it a better
try
place.
to make it better
Yeah, I
for
agree.
ourselves, for our families, for each other,
Yeah.
for our communities. And that's one of the reasons, like I'm a part of the things that I'm a part of, is to try to help make some kind of a difference
Sure.
for other people too.
Yeah, I
I've
agree.
been blessed, and there are lots of people out there that's not as
No.
blessed as I am. And if there's anything that I can do to try to make the world a little bit better for them too, I would like to be able to do that. At
That's
some
a good
point,
quality.
you're going to leave a legacy behind, and I think it comes down to what kind of legacy. What do you want to be remembered for?
Yeah.
What legacy are you leaving behind? That's
Yeah.
a big question.
Well, that's always a big question.
Huge.
What will you be remembered for?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. And it bothers me a lot. I think about my daddy and my brother, because that stuff is very fresh on my mind. What I saw my brother and my daddy go through, and what I've seen that do to my mama and my family. And so I want something better for me and what I can do for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
and
do.
I love, my daddy did what he could do with the tools that he'd been given in his life, and my brother did as well. And they made good, positive impacts on lots of people. And I don't think that they realized the positive impacts that they made on a lot of people, and kind of got trapped in the little world that they were in. And I just want to try to spread some kind of a message that there's more out there. There's more available. You can accomplish.
There's
a whole lot more.
always-
You can do a whole lot more. And if that even makes any sense, what I just said.
Well, there's always more if you're willing to open your mind and learn. There's
Yeah.
always more.
Yeah.
And I've kind of learned with people, everybody has a bad day.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm a pretty open with the fact that everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has bad days. If you continue to have them, then of course there's problems. But
Yeah.
I'm pretty easy with people because I'm human and I've had a ton of my share of stuff.
Man, I've had, I got clean and sober when I was 22 years old. And I went to a detox facility and stayed there for about 3 weeks, and got out of there and started going to 12-step meetings, NA and AA meetings, and
But you did what you needed to do.
I've been clean and sober for about 26 years now, and I've been clean and sober longer than I used.
That's great.
But, and I was a substance abuse counselor. I went to Gardner-Webb, got my degree, became a certified substance abuse counselor, did all that for years and years and years. And my daddy had a lot of issues with substance abuse, and of course that's what my brother passed away from, and at 44 years old.
Sure, I do.
And it's one of those things where, I tried to help both of them. I wanted to be a positive influence and tried to do what I could do to help them. And, sometimes you can and sometimes you can't.
Sometimes you can't. And I think it's the effort.
Yeah.
It's not so much the end result as the effort that was put in there.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can't. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes it requires you can do all you can do, but they have to do their part too. And sometimes they aren't strong enough. It's it's not that they're bad. Sometimes they just can't do it. You know.
Yeah, my brother struggled with that, for several years after my daddy passed away, and he just, I don't know what it was, he just couldn't grasp a hold of the whole recovery concept, or
yeah, some
maybe he
people
wasn't
can't.
open to it at all. I don't know, but he just we tried, and I just couldn't get to him. And of course, we'll live out the rest of my life thinking maybe I should have done something different or better or whatnot. But now all I can do is use all of that, try to use it in a positive way to reach out to other people, or if I see somebody struggling or whatnot, to try to at least be there if they need to talk, or
make the effort anyway.
Try, and sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. With being spread as thin as sometimes we are spread, it's hard.
It is
to
hard.
manage all of that. And I think
sometimes it's hard to manage your own life enough to help somebody else.
Mercy. Yeah, that's probably, like I said before, that's probably my biggest thing is trying to manage everything that I've got going on, and trying to be a part of. It's all for some kind of positive reason, but a lot of times it's like, man, I just need to take a nap.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the easy thing.
So music is the outlet.
Sure.
Is the number one outlet. I love riding my motorcycles. I love going shooting guns. I love doing all that good old stuff. But to have a really terrible day or whatever, and to go and get on stage with these guys and make some music and watch people's faces light up and people dance around, and I mean people from 5 years old to 85
Yeah, y'all
years
do
old,
reach a wide audience. Yeah.
or to just go sit down in my house and pick up an acoustic and just sit there and tinker for a little while.
Sure.
Just playing over some stuff or whatnot. It really genuinely does the soul good.
It does. I would tell you that a guitar for me, or any of the other instruments I play, have been both sometimes my best friend, maybe my only friend, and maybe even my therapist.
Yeah.
I mean, so,
Absolutely.
I don't know that I would be as well in life if I hadn't had music in it.
Yeah.
I think it saved me many times for myself.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Tommy, this has been a lot of fun, brother.
Dude, I've enjoyed it.
Thank you for coming and do this.
I didn't even, I don't know when particularly the mic was on and when the mic was off, but the whole before, during, and after is awesome.
Been fun. It's been fun, hasn't it?
And I appreciate it. Yeah.
We need to do this again sometime.
I hope we do, for
All
sure.
right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gasoline, ibuprofen, Gatorade, pussy make the Hall of Fame come on.